Welcome to this Hobby of Hours live version. I am your host, D. Thank you for coming along on the ride today as we prepare to break down, to shake down watches and wonders, winners and losers for 2025. Got two very special guests and maybe a couple more if they pop up in the comments might be invited to join. But welcoming to the stage, my good friends, Ricardo and Mr. Big Wrist Energy. Welcome to the program, gentlemen.
Hi, D.
Hey, D.
Good to see you. Always a pleasure. And we're going to do a little round of intros shortly, but most folks don't know. In fact, these two gentlemen didn't know that I met them both at the same event, watch meetup, years ago in Vegas, whenever Paul Thorpe was doing a meetup there with Nico, with
Roman Sharp was there.
Roman was there. Tim and Red Shovel were outside, couldn't get in. Long story. But anywho, that's one night in Vegas. So we're going to do a quick little set of introductions and maybe a wrist check. Age before beauty. So age before beauty. So Mr. Big Wrist Energy, tell us a little bit about yourselves and tell us, what are you wearing, sir?
First of all, wearing a two-tone steel yellow gold Sky Dweller on a custom-made ostrich leg leather strap from Dangerous Nine, my buddy in Munich, Germany.
Lovely.
Shout out to him. And that was basically my retirement watch from American Airlines and a 40-plus year career as a military, corporate, and international airline pilot. I was I won't say I wasn't into watches. I was a one-watch guy from as long as I can remember. Have had my GMT Master as my one watch for over 32 years.
Pronouns, sir. Pronouns. Our GMT Master. Our. Yeah. Gotta mind your pronouns today.
Mind your pronouns.
Nah, I don't think Ricardo knows, but I earnestly desire to inherit his Pepsi GMT from back in the day. But go on.
He delusionally desires to inherit.
Yes, that's fair, but a boy could dream. But thank you for your service, sir. Retired U.S. Marine Corps. And the funny thing about my Marine buddies, I have a lot of friends in the service and retired. My Marine buddies like to break my chops way more than the other lines of service. I haven't figured out why, but God bless you all for your service. We love you.
Right. Because our motto is harassment like camouflage. To be effective must be continuous. Right?
All right. Thank you for that intro, sir. Ricardo, you are up, my man. What you got?
Wearing my GMT root beer.
Yeah, bring that close to the camera. Let's see some of that gold and steel.
The
Nice.
two-tone kind of heavy hitter that I've got.
Yeah, you're both rocking two-tone today. I feel left out. I don't have two-tone. I'm wearing actually the watch that Rolex copied me. This is my Parity Mods GMT Seiko mod with before I got my Sprite, I wanted to try it out. So I got a Seiko mod from Parity Mods. So it's an NH movement in there, but it is a matte green dial that is suspiciously consistent with the Rolex Sprite white gold. So I may have to issue a cease and desist order to the ghost of Hans Bobby Wilsdorf. I don't know how well that's going to go, but I'm flattered that for once they copied me instead of me copying them, which is how this started its life. So
don't they even have a new Sprite this year?
What's that?
I think they even have a new Sprite this year that they
that's what I was referencing, brother. It's a all white gold matte green dial, just like my mod that I made leading in. I didn't know I was going to get my Sprite when I got it. It's kind of unexpected.
It's got the two-tone black and green bezel.
Yeah, this one happens to be on a Jubilee style bracelet. Come on, you. I need to get a second camera for these close-ups. It is actually quite good. Parity Mods has a lot of great offerings. Fun. I've got my channel name on there, Hobby of Hours, GMT, Bobam, Super Duper Chronometer, officially Batical. So they'll put anything on a dial for you. Love those guys. But
and you got it reversed.
Yeah. I got the real Sprite running around here. Got to pay some bills first, gentlemen. If you'd like to support the channel, not YouTube, but anyone watching, selling Hobby of Ours Porsche design t-shirts. That is a Hobby of Ours design. I am wearing it today and having a ton of fun. I think some people, funny enough, people file into the room a little bit later than other live shows. What up, Kevin? Welcome to the program. Lake, I wish I was in Florida, dude. It is so stupid cold where I'm at. Welcome to the program.
How cold is it?
Well, actually, embarrassingly, it says on the computer 59 degrees, but I haven't been out of my mother's basement all day, so I just been cold from the overnight effect. And watches and wonders have, just real quick before we go into the slides, did you guys follow much of the coverage, whether it was officially versus other YouTube presenters? Have you guys been keeping up with it?
I've tried through most of the guys I consider, that I actually respect their opinion. I didn't cover everybody. I've actually found one or two new guys that I thought did a pretty good job.
I checked. Yeah, I watched that one you sent me.
Vienna Watch.
Pretty good. What was it? Yeah, he made a couple mistakes in it. There's a ton of information there, so no slight to him.
I just liked his quick presentation. He kind of went through in the shortest amount of time, and it was almost a 30-minute video.
Yeah, no, that was great. I started following his channel.
But yeah, he went through pretty much the highlights, which is kind of why I don't have forever to watch every single watch YouTuber out there.
Right.
How
about you, Ricardo?
Yeah, I tried to get a broad spectrum of coverage. I watched all the big ones, Teddy and Nico, and there's one, I think it's called CMG Watches, I think, from Britain. They just came out today with it, they mainly covered the big named offerings that we've all heard of in the last few days.
Yeah, I think Jenny L's coverage was pretty good, to be fair.
I didn't watch Jenny's Revolution. He kind of compartmentalizes and does a brand at a time, and that's a little bit too much.
Yeah, I find it strange that I'm an army of one against the Land Dweller, but I'm sure you guys are going to roast me soon enough when we get there. Speaking of which, okay, so here's the format. We've got winners and losers, although Kurt was far kinder, calling his loser list a meh list. But for the purpose of consistency, it's going to be called losers. And we're going to go onesie, twosie. One from me, Ricardo, Big Risk Energy. We've got some overlap. Funny enough, we do feel similarly about a couple of them. And so looking at it, let's see. I want to do it this way. No, this way. No, wait, this way. Come on. Shazbot. I had a special layout. There it is. That's what I want. All right, gentlemen. Getting right to it. Oops. All right, winners. Kicking off winners. Cartier, 2 years in a row, my big winner. These tank guichets I just adore. I absolutely despise that they only release them in precious metals. The two models on the outside are both platinum. Then we've got rose gold, and then we've got yellow gold on green. The one on the right is absolutely killer. There's only 200 units of it. So just like last year's platinum release of the Rewind, I'm never going to see it, let alone get it, let alone afford it. With the gold ones cruising at 47K, Cartier, you're breaking my heart. Just release it in steel, please, and thank you. Any thoughts, gents?
As an industrial designer, which I forgot to mention that I was, and I have done a few watch designs, this is an absolute loser this makes my losers list. Okay. The only thing worse than this one is the Bremont version. Okay. Two tiny little apertures. Okay. With jumping hours. Talk about the lazy man's way out. Sorry, D. We're going to totally disagree on this one. So you now have my one of my losers on there, kind of runner up with the Bremont.
Yeah, I'm not. D, your audio has dropped out.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, no, I was laughing because Kurt emailed me his, and he put this watch a certain way. This watch is just like Dee's life. Go ahead. What was it, Kurt?
Simple, boring, and with no dates.
Look, if you're going to have Marines for friends,
Well,
they might have a leather neck, but you need a leather skin to have to be. It ain't easy having Marines as pals. Too funny. But okay, yeah, this one, have no fear. This Cartier makes additional appearances. No surprise from Root Beer Two Tone, fella. This is your
This is of course the I want to say it exactly right. It's the Rolex Oyster Perpetual GMT Master 2 18 karat Everrose Tiger Iron on an oyster bracelet. That was the right bracelet to put on this thing with the Tiger Iron dial. Apparently, the only other stone dial they offer is like a 36 millimeter Datejust, I believe it is.
I've got a couple floating around the modern catalog, but yeah, I find this epically gorgeous. I found other things to be a little more prescient and heavy. Plus, I knew you were going to put this in here. I think this is, a lot of people are bashing this watch. I don't think I've seen a more beautiful execution in gold from them than this. I would absolutely have it. It's 54 grand, which I don't have, but much respect, brother.
Yeah, the other thing I would do on this watch, too much gold, I put it on a beautiful brown alligator leg or ostrich leg or alligator strap.
That's a good call. Look amazing.
I think it would look amazing with the right brown strap on that. Yeah, and you can use the the Rolex deployant clasp.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Don't sell a leather strap for these, do they?
No, yeah. See, that's the problem with Rolex. When they don't want you to be able to switch back and forth, so they put a little fixed insert in between the lugs, so you cannot just use. And that's what I like about my Sky Dweller. It came on the Oyster, and
you bought the bracelet separate.
John at Dangerous 9, he had an advertisement that he makes an integrated, basically a curve, fills the space completely, strap for the Sky Dweller, and that's why I ordered it from him. And since then, I've got a green ostrich leg strap, integrated, and it fits, believe it or not, both my Omega Speedmaster Pro and my 1140-60 Submariner. So I've got one strap I can do between the two watches, and his straps, like I said, they're good quality, but they're pushing $400 to $500.
Dang, pricing.
So
all right, from Curtis, a pair of absolute beauties. I support these completely, sir. But lay it down. What makes you like these so much?
Well, being a Reverso fan, I've got a Grand 976 with a display case back that I love. Out of production now. I don't think they make a display case back per se anymore. But the Milanese bracelet on this is just fantastic. The gold dial on the reverse is fantastic. Yep. I think it would have been great with a display case back on this. The gold case back leaves it open for artwork. You can spend that much money on a watch. I guess you can spend another 20 grand to have your artwork put on. Money's no object. And I get a little sick and tired with the Rolex of people still calling this the Cellini. All right.
Cellini Part 2.
Yeah, whatever. This whole thing that Rolex can't make a dress watch. I've been in and around Rolex for 55 years. Okay. Most of the people that make these complaints started in watches in the last 5 to 7 years. So they have no idea of the history of Rolex, what they've done and all that. And they're pretty much woefully ignorant. So it just comes from a point of ignorance to say, oh, that's not a real Rolex because it's a dress watch. Give me a freaking.
Oh, that's interesting. I've never heard that.
Yeah, I get that all the time. Oh my gosh, that's Rolex can't do a dress watch. Well, I think they do one quite well. And with the display case back on this and this 7-link bracelet is just now both of these are incredibly stupidly expensive, more money than I would want to spend.
It's the Rolex isn't that bad. I forget the quote. I think it's high 40s.
Yeah.
If you're looking to position this versus a Calatrava, I would take this over. I don't have much respect for the Calatrava from a movement or execution perspective. Yeah. Speaking generally, it's a very plain watch. It's a mid-20s, 30 grand plain watch, which is not my cuppa, especially since they've been using the same movement for 60, 70 years or whatever. Yeah. I would have this over a Calatrava all day long.
Prediction on this watch, D, to interrupt real quick, sure. The new land dweller movement, if they put that with that escapement in this watch and actually made it a little thinner, not that you really need, I don't think it's that too thick anyway. Pretty amazing.
I'm partial to the platinum. Ricardo, what say you?
Yeah, good choices. On the Rolex though, that wide bracelet, it departs a little bit from Rolex's design language in a way that makes it seem a little less Rolexy. You have to use your imagination a little bit to.
Well, I think that's good. I mean, this is what gets me about. If Rolex does what Rolex does, people, they're not innovating, and when they depart, it's like, it's going away from Rolex.
Take your pick, right?
Yeah. So I love the fact that they departed a little bit from the standard link bracelet. Did something not completely different, but somewhat different.
Platinum.
Went out of the box a little bit.
Yeah. All right. Next slide up. For me, kind of a weird one. So I've also included some watches that were released in the lead up to Watches and Wonders, as I perceive that a lot of manufacturers were trying to get in advance on it, knowing full well that when we're into the full throw of Watches and Wonders, there are certain core brands that are always going to get the majority of the limelight. So they preemptively did it. Audemars Piguet is no exception to that. They've finally released a Code 11 that I fell in love with immediately. That green one on the left, it's a Sonnery and opal dial. Obviously channel colors, so I'm attracted to it. But I find that to be incredibly beautiful. And then this Royal Oak perpetual calendar on the right, this is the first time they have one where there are no side pushers to make corrections. So everything is controlled for the perpetual calendar via the crown. And the way they achieve that is when you step the crown out to stage 1, 2, and 3, when you step it out to 1, I believe it's to wind. When you go from 1 to 2, you rotate that crown in 2 directions. It does 2 different things. When you go out to 3, it does 2 different things. But when you come back to 2, coming from 3, it does 2 different things than when you came from 1 to 2, which I find absolutely fascinating. I was humbled by it, and I'm not a big AP guy, as you well know, partly because of design, but also mostly because of money, although I can admire it from afar, right? But I was epically impressed with what they did with that watch.
It's a watch guy's watch in that it's a horological achievement that belongs in a museum and belongs to be it longs to be remembered for its innovativeness and for its extreme.
I think it belongs on your wrist, Ricardo.
Yeah, well, I mean, I admire it and everything. I don't know exactly how I'd feel taking it out. I mean, it's just so complicated, and I'd be tempted to explain it to somebody, and then they'd be bored.
Yeah, not exactly a pub watch. Kurt, your thoughts?
Yeah, that's the first I've heard on the. I'm gonna have to look up first of all the 1159. That's intriguing. I'm gonna have to take a closer look at that one because that's one that I probably skimmed over.
Yeah, you probably missed it because it come out in February.
I'm a big perpetual calendar fan, so this is cool. That control of the movement of the perpetual is neat. I don't know if it's I haven't really gotten too much hands-on with the Kurt Klaus. That's my favorite. Is the Kurt Klaus perpetual with everything done through the crown. This does the same thing, albeit a bit more complicated. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
If you got a watch like that, I'm wondering if there's any danger zone in any of this.
With the Kurt Klaus thing, if you make a mistake, you're sending it in.
But you got to really be stupid to go well past the current date.
Hey, stupid happens, right? But I learned all that blah blah. I just parroted from the Hodinkee, John Mayer, and Ben Clymer review of it. Pretty epic video in and of itself. Next up, Ricardo, talk to us about honey gold.
This was the one that I picked out. Apparently, it's limited to only 100 pieces, which I didn't realize until today. But
heartbreaking.
Sporty Elegant Odysseus in a 750 honey gold case, brown dial, honey gold bracelet, timepiece limited to 100 watches, particular brand of stylish elegance. It's interesting, and I like the way it looks, and it's something I'd wear, and I just like it gives me the same kind of feels as a root beer, but like a little different.
You know what, Kurt? You're a little out of camera, sir. Can you lean in a little?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Let's see that beautiful mug.
Yeah, right.
There we go. Your thoughts, sir? You and I touched upon this watch yesterday.
I'm a big Odysseus fan. I love the blue dial. I had it on my wrist. I'm good. I'm well connected with the AD here at South Coast Plaza, and Travis, who's now the manager there.
Right on.
My Instagram's got a good shot of this on my wrist, or the blue dial one on my wrist. Everybody complained about the integrated bracelet, but you have to have it on and see it in person. I like the symmetry of the date and on it. A little too much. 100 pieces, 1,000 pieces. The three of us are never going to get one.
Well, I thought you just said you knew the manager. Is that?
Well, no, I do. And he basically said, Kurt, you ain't getting the blue dial unless you spend a lot more money at the same day.
Is that bracelet fully integrated? Because it almost looks like it has defined lugs where it could come out. You could put this on a strap. I
think they do, or might have done it on a strap.
Interesting.
It caught some grief, but once you have it on the wrist, it's pretty epic.
Got it.
All
right, your choices, sir. Rolex's copy of my parody mod watch on the left. And did you figure out if that Nomos World Timer was true World Timer, or is it just?
I can't get anybody to admit, but these are the same YouTubers who still call one watch a collection, who call the Parmigiani Rochefort GMT a GMT versus a dual time, and who still think the Nomos Zurich is a World Timer when it's in fact a GMT watch. So.
Do you want to lay down some education to the viewership?
I would love to. I think I just did. I believe this is a true world time because it looks to tell all 24, and that's the definition of a world time. You can tell all 24 time zones at once at a glance without moving anything. You just look at the dial. And, the Patek Philippe is one of my favorites, but my absolute favorite is a Gerard Perregaux WWTC 1966 WWTC, which is a great watch. I love the colors on this. As a designer, I think they knocked it out of the park with all the colors. It does have beside that other crown at the 2 o'clock, it does have a pusher, which is kind of disappointing. So a little bit harder to use.
Yeah, I'll be interested to find out if it has any of that functionality.
Yeah, I believe it is a true world time.
I think it's the same as their other one.
Yeah, I don't like the design as much with the 24-hour subdial. I think it is a good design overall. Not my first pick for a world time, just to let you know.
Yeah,
but I thought they did a good job of.
I seem to recall one of your watch buddies sourced 2 different Gerard Perregaux world timers in your price band, but
you did.
You refused to pull the trigger, sir.
Yeah, well, the lack of money. Anyway, back to the
Sprite.
Having been a GMT master owner for 41 years plus, and having tried this, the black dial version of this on, I think it's epic looking, and for the anniversary, making it in a green dial, making basically the GMT Hulk.
It's actually not the GMT Hulk. I am the one who predicted the GMT Hulk, which is an all green 2-tone bezel. This is basically a copy of the Hobby of Hours parody mod. Not quite a Hulk, sir, not to correct you, but I'm still. And here's the thing: get rid of the left-hand drive. I already have mine. It's totally okay. Rolex, you have my permission, and just give us an all green GMT. Regular drive.
Too much green. I think you need the day night black green.
Well, no, just two-tone green anyway. All right, moving on.
Oh, two-tone green. Okay.
My pick, which is going to seem strange to you, but I've been doing a lot of video coverage of Doxa lately, and the Doxa GMT into their 250T line, which is 250 meters of water resistance, is my pick of the litter for a couple of reasons. They're bringing out this GMT in their 40 millimeter case, which is much more wearable. I have the last time they did a GMT was 2006. It's in their bigger case. I can barely pull it off, but it's kind of heavy. So I was writing them year over year, asking them to do one in titanium. But sure enough, they brought it out in steel, but in 40 millimeters in 9 different colorways. And there's a couple more colorways coming. It's embargo. I can't say what they are, but they're en route. And I can't decide which one I'm going to buy. Now, this is one that
Is this the ladies or the boys department watch?
Itty bitty wrist committee. Look out, here we come. No, it's 40 millimeters, sir.
Okay.
And it has a polite lug to lug, so it's going to wear great on me. But I'm probably going to get the green one because that's the leading favorite, channel colors. But that one in the lower left corner, Caribbean blue, I kind of already have that because that's the color of my big boy GMT. And I love it. And it's a release that came out just before Watches and Wonders, but it's a release I can afford, I can approach, and I'm going to be able to buy. So there's a lot going on there.
Give me a price. Give us a price.
We're like $2,400, $2,490 on bracelet, a little less on strap.
Yeah.
Get it on bracelet, add the strap. The straps are nice because they do have the Doxa pasta clasp, which has a quick button release to expand on your wrist if you have a little too much pasta at lunch. I love it. But shout out to my friends at Doxa. Shout out Jackie. Absolutely adore the watch. Any thoughts, gentlemen?
Yeah, I'm a Doxa fan. I don't have one. I love orange dial, so that one far right. And also love GMTs. So my problem with that is GMT being pretty much my favorite complication is now there's just too many of them out there. You know,
there is a gamut in there.
They're not unique anymore. Low cost GMTs all over the place. But if I was going to get a Doxa, given that the water resistance and the GMT on it, this would probably be my pick in the orange.
Yeah, orange was going to be my pick, but I picked up their left-hand drive Aristera.
Yeah.
So I've got my orange Doxa. I can't sell the other GMT Doxa because it was so limited. Although if I sold it, I could probably buy this watch, and I could buy 2 of these, what I would get for that watch, but you'd never get to own it. Any thoughts, Ricardo, before we move on to your next one?
I think it's pretty. It's not exactly my cup of tea. It reminds me of a Captain Willard, which I don't have and I want. And,
with that cushion case. Right on.
But I think it's pretty, and I can see why you like it.
No, it's a proper diving watch. All right. The first show up of the Land Dweller. I'm going to put myself on mute, Ricardo, because I don't like to interrupt my friends. And I'm dying to interrupt already. You haven't even started. The floor is yours, my good man. Kick it off, Ricardo.
Yeah, Land Dweller. The biggest attraction of this is, to me, not the dial. The dial is acceptable. It's not something that really excites me, but it's acceptable. The flat link bracelet is fine by me. It's different. The important thing about this watch is, of course, the new caliber 7135 Dynapulse movement, and that's really what drives the interest in this watch. It's available in 36 and 40, and with the Everose Gold with baguette diamond bezel, which I actually think is fantastic and I like, and it doesn't have the numerical 9 and 6 that the others do. But the Dynapulse movement, if you really get down into it, is just a spectacular advancement in watch movements, in that it doesn't use a locking escapement in the way that a standard pallet fork does, but it conserves power because it's never scraping against the jewels. So I'll leave you to do your own research on what that movement looks like. But also, it's not especially expensive. The list of the 12.7334 is $14.9, so it's not mean, yeah, Roger Federer is wearing it. That doesn't mean it's $100,000 watch. You know, it's
I may have to price check you on that. I thought that might be euros, my brother, because I was seeing it come in at 17 for 17 on steel.
I thought 16 on steel. Maybe
yeah, it's well above a date just, but very, very well under a date. But it's
I'm going by Hodinky's numbers here. I could be wrong.
Got it.
But you know, and honestly, if I were to want to get one of these, I think I'd want to get the one with the Ever Rose, just because I like it and I like the diamonds. And you know, if I were wearing it, what I would be thinking about the movement most of the time, and it's power reserve, and it's actually got a thickness of 9.8 millimeter, which is 20% thinner than a date just. So for me, this was the winner of show.
My bad, big dog. It is 14.9. The 40 millimeter white dial steel, 14.9 plus tax were applicable. So you were right, bro.
Interesting.
There you go. It's not unobtainium.
No.
I don't know where I got 17 from. I must be there must be some fumes coming into the studio. Kurt, do you want to touch upon this one, sir?
Yeah. Love hate with this land dweller. Sorry. We've done the whole thing on the dweller thing. Sky dweller, sea dweller, cool. Land dweller, no, I don't think so. The dial, as a designer, way too much. Okay, simple is better. You didn't need to put this dial on there at all. The 6 and the 9, I'm big on symmetry. Okay, lose the 6 and the 9, make it all baton. Okay, lose that dial. I would like to see a dark dial on it in steel. I would buy it. And Ricardo, 100% agreement on that movement. I think you're going to see that movement in a lot more of Rolex's watches in the next couple of years. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, is it like 18 patents on that movement?
I don't know the number of patents. But,
yeah, there was quite a few. I mean, I remember the Sky
was 16, but I thought it was 16, but that's
maybe it's a lot, and it's not getting enough positive press for that movement alone. And
just an aside, it's got the that integrated case thing that looks like the oyster quartz. I actually looked this up, and it wasn't actually the oyster quartz that was the very first one of those.
No, it wasn't. Rolex had one before that in '69, I believe.
Yes, they had 50 years ago, 1975. Date just reference 1530.
Okay.
So that had a mechanical movement, and it had that shape of a case.
Yeah.
And then I believe in '77 they did the
you're correct that the use of the oyster, what we call the oyster quartz case, was preemptively saw a Rolex date execution, but there's yet another model that's in the background there that is actually a little more formative for this piece. I can't remember. It's got a weird name. It's not.
I'll look it up, D. Yeah, we need to put that up there because they actually had that in their display of their previous integrated bracelet cases. At least 2 other ones. I'm an oyster quartz fan. I was with Tim Masso here. It was about 6-8 months ago, and he had a really cool vintage oyster quartz that was absolutely mint in yellow gold, and 36, 37 millimeters. But with that integrated case, it looked great on my bigger sized wrist, about 7.6 on my left wrist and diameter, and with one of their wooden dials. Really stunning watch. But I've been a fan of that case and bracelet integrated. So what? It took them longer to come out with it. They had it back in the day, so it's part of their history and heritage. Like I said, I would. My design eye immediately goes to fixing what I think is wrong with the watch, and movement's great, bracelet case is great, thinness is great.
It's called the Texano.
This is the 6 and the 9, and we can talk.
It's called the Texano.
Okay,
but it's not. That name is not branded on the thing.
What's called the Texano?
the other integrated watch.
Oh, the other integrated. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I knew it had an unusual name.
No.
So for all the above
I know
reasons,
Nico Leonard put that in his God tier for Watches and Wonders.
Interesting.
yeah, I think it's the star of the show.
Yeah.
We'll be coming back to that when we launch the losers deck. So I'm going to save my commentary for that. Moving on to Big Wrist Energy's love of these two pieces. We've got
calendars
something
I love if they're done well.
Yeah, we got Freddie C on the left, and we got the cheese watch on the right. By all means, Freddie Constant and a cheese watch from the Parmigiani, from the Parmesan shaker on the right. Go ahead and lay it down for us, sir.
I just, to do a perpetual under 10 grand, I think is pretty cool. It's a classic, simple, clean, symmetrical layout. Kudos to them for basically, it won't sell like it should. This is a home run if you want an affordable, somewhat affordable. And I think on the secondary, you're gonna score. I have my own issues with the CEO of Parmigiani, but he's been doing a pretty good job. And I think the simplicity of the PF 2 register perpetual here is pretty amazing. I think it comes with a white and a blue dial, white platinum.
Yeah. Is this 40 G's, 50 G's?
Yeah, probably at least.
It's attractive. They make a pretty watch. I think it's the name that I enjoy making fun of.
Well, why don't you talk to Mr. Parmigiani and complain about his surname?
I don't want to cheese him off. I will say that their Ronda GMT Rattrapant, which you referenced as a dual time zone, which I support your assessment. I love it. If I could afford, I think that's like 28 grand though, and I'm just not there. But I
actually redesigned that, and instead of a 12-hour second hand, I've got a gold 24-hour hand, and I've got small gold dots in between the 12-hour dots to make it a true GMT showing a 24-hour time. It would be a little hard to read. I grew up as a military guy with 24-hour GMT time, so I can look at any watch and go, okay, 1900, 2300. It's really not that hard, but for the average guy out there, and why call it a GMT when Patek Philippe and every other maker who has similar watches calls it a dual time?
Yeah.
Okay. Watch
makes no sense.
Or travel time, and to boot, they have an AM PM indicator. Parmigiani could have put a very simple AM PM indicator on that watch to make it at least a dual time with a between.
All right, in the interest of time, moving a bit ahead, we have a couple of honorable mentions. All three of us universally acknowledge this Vacheron wristwatch, 41 complications to surpass their own execution of multi-complication in a pocket watch last year that weighed 2 pounds. I don't know that they're going to be producing this for the market. I think this is probably a one-off that they're just flexing their horological might. Mm-hmm. But we all agree that this one is epic and awesome, and it's been well covered, so we don't need to belabor it here. But 41 complications, gorgeous. We'll never own it, but it'd be nice to see it in a museum. A couple other honorable mentions.
Let me interject here. Vacheron makes my, unless you're going to cover it later, my list of the top brand release for the year.
Yeah, we're not going to cover that later. We're kind of zooming in on interesting models. I think that you're correct. But in the interest
GLC being a close runner-up.
Yeah. All right. So super quick onesie twosies. Ricardo, what made you throw this Grand Seiko into the ring, sir?
Grand Seiko Spring Drive SLG B001. It's the UFA. That's the one that's. I'm sorry, I don't have the research in front of me, but it's the high precision one that.
Oh, this is their ultra precise watch. Yeah, the platinum one is
20 seconds a year. I think it is on basically a mechanical
year. Yes. So I mean,
amazing.
That's a very reasonable honorable mention. Well done, sir.
If you're trying to get to the dentist, it's not going to make that much difference, but you'll know that you're really on time.
If you're running through Tokyo chasing bad guys. And then Kurt's honorable mention. I can barely stare at it. IWC. I added the one in green because I love it on the right. My only critique of them is whoever is running their price plan needs
Oh
to
yeah,
stick
price.
their
Yeah, I
head-
agree.
Their
Price
head out of their butt. But go ahead, sir.
knock $5,000 off the price of this watch, and
Yeah.
it's
That's
a
well put.
yeah.
Get
But
this down.
I
Not-
love
not-
the it is a gentle design integrated bracelet.
Yeah.
It's simple, clean. I think the color waves and the ceramic and what they did, because it wasn't a hit when it first came out, but I think, and you're right, that green one is just stunning. I mean, that would be
The problem with the original Ingenieurs is that the 5 bolts or screws were functional, practical, and they never lined up.
yeah.
But that ceramic one is 15, 20, 25,000. I just did a video about Nevada releasing an F77, their own design from back in the day, in ceramic for $1,500. So
Yeah.
ceramic is not that expensive to work with. That
No.
is all of the winners. We are going to switch gears because I love talking about losers. I don't normally run a negative opinion channel, but when they're this bad, I kind of have to step in. My first loser is also my first winner, Cartier. Now, aside from that ugly jewelry monstrosity on the left, this Cartier Guichet release is a loser. And the reason is, why make something wonderful and beautiful that the majority of your buying audience that you're selling $1,500 quartz watches to can't purchase, let alone see in a box somewhere? For me, it is an unequivocal loser from a marketing pricing perspective. And yes, my blood is boiling. I'm never going to get to own it. Kurt already covered his loser aspects of this. Anything to add?
Yeah,
Ricardo?
the one on the left is pretty hideous,
Yeah.
even from a jewelry standpoint.
Yeah, I can't understand the fascination with jumping hours this year. All of a sudden, everyone's doing it.
Yeah, we're about to see it in a minute, aren't we? Before we get to that, we got some other Cartier anti-love.
Cartier Dressage.
It's a
Yellow
jewelry
gold on
watch.
black strap. It's not minimalist. You can hardly tell it's a watch. I'm not. Okay, so I did hear some coverage of Cartier that, like, in their design language, they back in the day sent people out in Paris to look at the design of the city, the architecture, the steel that was above the metro's center entrances and things like that, and come up with design ideas for that. So I like that they're being creative, but this one doesn't work for me as a watch.
Yeah, she's an ugly duckling, but she's a bracelet for a chick. I'm excited to see Kurt's, so we're gonna jump next to it.
All right.
I don't agree, but I want to hear what
have
he has to say.
$500,000 plus watch that you really can't wear, and you're just going to stare at in a freaking box. Okay.
This is the
From an
Bulgari
engineering standpoint, I think
Tourbillon.
it's cool, but
1.8 millimeters thin, and if you notice the photography on the right, it's partially skeletonized because you can see the sun going through the movement, and it's fairly silly, but I also love it.
Yeah.
But who's going to own it? You're right. I think they're only making 20-ish.
Yeah.
And you're right. 500 G's, no thanks.
At least with the Vacheron, the 41 complications, it's actually a wearable size.
Oh, this is wearable. I don't know.
It's 1.8 millimeter. I hope it's steel or something strong because
Titanium.
And
Yeah.
just knock it once and you've destroyed the watch.
That's fair. All right. My next hater. Patek Philippe made a $1.18 million desk clock. You know what? I feel good for Hodinkee because they're off the hook for their $6,000 travel clock failure from several years ago. Who is this clock for? Shout out to James. Welcome to the program. And this Panerai is not a desk clock. It is a floor clock. 1.5 million euros, 30 inches wide, 40 inches other wide, deep. 247 pounds. It's basically a planetarium that fully functions. I think this is awesome. I think it should have never been released. The price should have never been released. And this should be in a horological museum and maybe even go on tour. I would love to see it in person. But no, no one needs to buy this. No one needs to buy it.
Yeah.
Pair of jalopies. All right. I've been wanting to get to this one and you guys actually both share. In fact, since you both share the Bremont jump hour, Ricardo, you take it first, and then we'll let Kurt speak to it. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, it's 1927 again, so we're doing jump hours. But this answers the question: how could you take a jump hour and make it even uglier?
You know what's really funny?
No, I agree. Yeah. And speak to the logo because becoming the new CEO or whatever, head of design for Bremont, and coming in and immediately deciding you need to change up the logo. Change for change's sake isn't always good. Ask Christopher Ward.
That's well, he said he wanted to get away from
I know
the propellers but yet they released this whole aviation centric. I love me some Christopher Ward. I don't know why they went through those logos. I'd have to, I'm going to ask my buddy Mike Pearson. What up, Mike? Shout out if you're listening or watching. I would love to know why as well. I think you've both fully intimated your disgust of this. The funny thing about the Bremont jump hour watch, I can't jump over to eBay, but if you go to eBay and just type in jump hour watch, you will see designs very much like the Bremont minus their logo from the 70s. That I don't want to be impolite to them because they are putting in work. It's just work I don't like. They got their inspiration from eBay jump hour watches from the 70s.
I have a love-hate relationship with Bremont. I will tell you, if you ever get to London, go to Mayfair. Give them a call first, make an appointment. Their boutique is pretty amazing if you're into aviation and aviation history. It is a fun boutique. The guys there were great. Made my appointment, opened up the good bottle of scotch, and just sat there and chatted for about an hour.
What bottle of scotch, out of curiosity?
I can't even remember. Scotch is not my favorite. To quote my wife, Scotch is God's bad breath. So, and she's Scottish, or part Scottish. Anyway,
right.
I had gone in because I wanted to look at see if they had their. I was flying the 777 at the time, and they have a 777 watch. And the only way you can get one is prove that you're an active 777 pilot. So you actually have to bring your license in with your type rating on it, and a copy of the schedule to show that you're actually flying it. And I had all that, but I looked at it. It was just such an ugly design. And, some of their other GMTs were better, but, I can't collect every GMT out there. And for the price of that, I love what they do with the squadrons and, unique ones for individual squadrons that all the squadron members can get their watches. And,
I do appreciate that. They also have an unusual watch program where if you have forcibly had to eject from a plane, there's something special they do for you.
Yeah, the inner case is a different color. I think it's red, or something on the case is now red if you've actually used the Martin Baker ejection seat.
Yeah, but you have to. I think you have to prove that you had to.
Yeah. So, and they did a thing where it was kind of cool. They had one of their watches where they managed to get some of the fabric from the original Wright Flyer wing. So,
really?
The original Wright Flyer, one of the wings was damaged in like 1903. Yeah. It was stored in an attic in Ohio, Dayton, Ohio, someplace. They managed to get a swatch of that wing, buy it at a price because it it's just going to rot away.
Wow.
And they took that fabric piece and beautifully integrated it into the rotor of one of their watches.
Oh, dang, that's impressive.
And it's kind of like I can't remember the other British watchmaker that does something like that with Spitfire parts. And
I can't remember their name, but they take fire hoses.
Yes,
fire hoses. They make watch straps. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So jumping into my next one, real quick one from Mines 13. Welcome to the program. Martin Baker special piece. I am not familiar with that one, sir, but thank you for jumping in. Yeah, James. To be fair, Nico's jump hour from Maine, M-A-E-N, is not bad looking. It's rather broad across, but it's not bad looking. But for me, one of the failures, and I don't know if I can say failure, but Tudor, they didn't come to play this year. And I think part of my disappointment is I'm used to them coming to play every year. I look forward. I'm a Tudor fan. I have several Tudors, love them, love the brand, love a lot of what they're doing. But I'm very surprised they released the Black Bay 68 in 43. I tried one on. It wasn't terribly large, but okay. And then the Pelagos Ultra, what depth of 1,000 now with a helium escape valve. Okay, no one is saturation diving. The Chronograph got a new bracelet, big whoop. The Opaline Dial GMT Pro. Okay, we saw that one coming, but it's still too doggone thick. And the Burgundy is basically a red dial, red watch, nothing special. It is beautiful, I will say, but if I were them, I would have saved that flamingo blue chronograph for Watches and Wonders. I still would not be impressed because it wasn't my cuppa, but at least it was a little more fancy pants than what we've got from them here. Thoughts, gentlemen?
For me, this epitomizes meh. Yeah, I'm in complete agreement. Personal preferences. I hate Burgundy. So that does nothing for me, and just a lackluster effort this year. Yeah. And I've been a Tudor fan since the early 1980s, before anybody knew what Tudor was. Because I was in and around Hong Kong back then, and Tudor was prominent back then.
Ricardo?
I'm not as down on it as you guys are. I think the Ultra is kind of an interesting piece. They didn't have to do last year a Rolex all gold deep sea either, but they did. So it's it's something interesting to do. The red on red one, I think it's kind of cool. I would wear it. I don't know that I would buy it, but I think it's kind of cool. It's a bit I'll agree with you, but
I expect they've conditioned me to expect wow from them, because they've delivered several years of wow. That doesn't make it bad.
Yeah, but what happened last year when they tried to wow you with the all gold Black Bay?
Don't make me mute you. I've already given my opinion on that one. No one with 34 grand to spend on a gold watch is shopping for Tudor. That should have been an only watch submission, and then okay. Yes, 36 millimeter Ranger with better topography. Mines 13, agree with you completely. Now, brace yourselves, everyone, because this is Ricardo's hated on one, and we know that Kurt is a plant from Parmigiani.
No, he's not.
And he's just trying to get back in the good graces. But lay it down, Ricardo. What about this piece did you not like?
Hated on is too strong of a term. I thought it was a little bit plain Jane for a Watches and Wonders debut. And so it didn't grab me. I think it kind of mez me in the same sort of way as the red on red Tudor mez you.
That's fair. I find this to be a very beautiful watch, but don't they already have this, Kurt? Isn't this already?
Yeah, this is.
Is this a dial change for them?
Yeah, and to not even have a second hand on it, and it's an integrated bracelet sport watch. I can see if it's a pure dress watch. My pure dress watch is the Tonda 1950 and has a 6 o'clock subdial. A beautiful, simple, three-handed micro rotor automatic white gold watch on a beautiful Hermes alligator strap. That's Parmigiani's Calatrava. That is his opus as far as I'm concerned. And I kind of like the line, being a little different, but a little bit more thought maybe in the dials. I agree with that. Yeah.
Gotcha. So here we are. This is Tag Heuer's formal Formula One release, Solograph, different than the Kish released last year, reminiscent of what they released in the 80s, bearing in mind that the vintage 81s, and I saw this on Adrian Barker's excellent video, You can get the vintage ones for a couple $100 on eBay. This is selling for 2,000 USD. They made a cool collectible watch that no one is going to want or afford. No one's going to spend 10 grand to get 5 of them, and they have more colors than this.
Yeah.
But Kurt, take it away, sir.
Oh yeah, you pretty much stole my thunder there. That's
Sorry.
fine. I don't need to belabor this any longer. You know, this is an upgraded moon swatch for $2,000. Give me a freaking break.
Yeah.
You know,
they do offer it in plastic, steel, and some kind of in between thing. I don't know.
You mentioned you said no swearing, and you said the P word.
I did. What did I say?
Plastic.
Sorry to take your thunder, sir. This was your slide, Ricardo.
No. That's fine. That's fine. You pretty much hit it. You know.
Yeah, I'm just parroting what Adrian Barker said. His coverage was excellent of this piece.
I mean, they don't look bad or whatever. If it were $120 swatch, kind of deal, okay. But
yep.
Yeah, I don't get the $2,000 for these things.
Yeah. You can get the originals for a couple $100, and they'll probably be on. Let's see this.
Good comment. Available on AliExpress next month.
Yeah, I think Tag. I don't want to continue to parrot Adrian Barker. His channel is awesome. He summed this watch perfectly.
I've been checking out some of the comments. Are pretty good.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, so my turn to talk about the Land Dweller since I was mom. This is the ugliest watch I've ever seen since the Oyster Courts. I wouldn't wear this watch on your wrist. I want to call all my AD contacts and expressly direct them to not call me if one becomes available. That's how vehement I am against it. The 6 and 9 doesn't belong on there. All stick indices would have been better. Ditch that stupid Cyclops. And I actually like the name Land Dweller, but not for this model. I think Land Dweller name could have been an Explorer 3 if Rolex made a Seiko Alpinist with an internal rotating bezel. They are dwelling on the land. Now, I will say this. I don't mind the dial. It's not for me, but I don't hate it. But we have the Sea Dweller. We have the Sky Dweller. We have the Space Dweller, which was a 12-unit Rolex 1016 released in Japan to celebrate the astronauts visiting, which is my grail watch, which I'll never see. I don't even think John Mayer can get one. But I don't mind the name Land Dweller. And I wanted to race through all of my detritus because I want to say two things that could be cool. Obviously, yes, the movement is killer. Well done, Rolex. I don't care how many patents you have on it. I'm sure that any movement that comes out is going to have dozens of patents. But if they do something sneaky and sly here with the Land Dweller. Okay, so the Sky Dweller, very few people in the sky flying. Sea Dweller, very few people diving. But every one of us is a Land Dweller. What if they make this readily available to anyone who wants them? What if because every watch takes 5 to 6 years of development, and that's when they announce the building of the new factory that's coming in a couple years. What if they're going to steal the market share from Audemars Piguet waiting list, Nautilus wait list, by making an integrated dress sports watch with the Rolex name on it that everyone can buy if they can afford it? 16, 15 grand, but it's a watch store window watch. You can walk into any day, any AD and get one. That would be game changing. Even though I wouldn't own it nor wear it, I would respect it. And boy, that was rapid fire. So I'm going to shut up and let you guys put me in my place, please, because I probably need put in my place.
No, like I said, I wouldn't buy it either. Don't like the name. Good point on the Land Dweller. But ditch the 6, the 9, ditch the honeycomb dial, give it a darker dial, the different dial colors, and I not that I would still buy it. I still like blue dial, Datejust in white metal, but this whole Dweller thing.
James,
as far as I was going to steal your thunder with your announcement,
it's coming.
Hobby of Ours is aligned now with Hello Kitty with a line of watches called the Basement Dweller.
You know what? Don't make me remove you because James is on to something. So our next slide up It's 2 slides away. We're almost out of time, guys, but I want to get to these other ones. And trust me, Land Dweller is coming back. Hublot, Ricardo, go.
Oh, this is the new RM Big Bang. No, I'm kidding. It's the Hublot Big Bang Red Magic, a $38,000 homage to RM. It's trying to steal RM's valor here, and RM doesn't really have that much valor. RM doesn't have valor unless you're a footballer or whatever, or a rapper or something.
Yeah.
So I don't see the need for this. But it's
at least
really loud.
At least Kurt could wear it, because I imagine that's rather large.
It's the horological equivalent of a car driving by with rap music blaring out of it.
With rolling on dubs.
No, I agree on that one.
I really wanted to get to this one, Kurt, because it kind of dovetails with Ricardo's. He had a twofer here. We've got a Grand Seiko Monstrosity Tentograph in some sort of lion case, and then 3 blue Zenith ceramics. Take it away, sir.
Yeah, I'm not a big ceramic fan. The way I can abuse watches, I will tell you, I dropped my marathon and took a good tumble off kitchen onto a hard tile floor. We'll see. I may be have to send that in for service. So any watch case that you can shatter, because it is ceramic, is not my idea. I understand they are pretty durable and all that, but this was done before by, I believe, AP. Love Zenith. Not a watch I have any desire to own, but just they could have done better. And as far as I'm not a huge Grand Seiko fan to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of their watches are too big, and for a Japanese watch company where the average Japanese wrist probably would be kinder to a 36 or 37 millimeter, having some of these giant Grand Seikos out there.
That's fair. Yeah, this is the Tokyo Lion case, very much a product of design language of the 70s, I reckon. Ricardo, what are your thoughts, sir?
I was about to say, it looks like something that where if they tried to if it's 1975 and they're saying what's the future going to look like, it's going to be a bunch of big panels like that.
James Blonde, is that true, James? Because that's yikes.
10,000 watches last year. Wow.
Because I thought I saw someone was interviewing Nevada Grenchen. I think it was Nico, and I thought they said 13,000. I thought Guillaume, who's a friend of the channel, shout out Guillaume, I've been borrowing his watches doing coverage. I thought he said they sold 13,000. I could be wrong. Correct me if I am, James. But yeah, no, I think you covered it, gentlemen. That is fairly wild and out. So the alternate name possibilities for Land Dweller. We have Office Dweller, Desk Dweller, Club Dweller, Gym Dweller. At that price point, probably a Bank Dweller, Coffee Shop Dweller. If you're commuting, Traffic Dweller, and potentially Train Dweller.
Train Dweller.
And we've got 2 others coming. Mom's Basement Dweller, which is where Kurt would have me to be. And if you look very closely at my mock-up on the left, it says what is likely going to be the case: Waiting List Dweller. I think Waiting List Dweller is probably the most accurate of any we're going to see, gents.
Yeah.
Thank you both for coming on the program. As we look to wrap up, any final thoughts? I know, Kurt, you wanted to talk about BC being the belle of the ball overall.
Yeah, I thought just from a quick JLC's been kind of disappointing. I think their quality control on their lesser watches, quote unquote lesser watches for us
and entry level
average people has fallen a bit, even though they're still a great high horology brand. And the Hydro Mechanica is still one of my favorite high complication watches. But I think VC overall, their patrimony, their whole line this year was I think a string of home runs. So anyway.
Yeah, that's it. I think VC crushed it last year with their trio and rose gold and green dial.
One more thing I want to mention.
Sure.
I was really impressed with Nico. Don't really know Nico. Met him at the same watch meetup that we were at.
Yeah.
But he had Freddie Constant make a World
Yeah,
time
that's right.
frame,
With
which I thought was a
Belfast
good
on the
world
dial.
time, and he was pretty impressed. And it's a lot of personal stuff for him on that, and that was a pretty cool episode on
Yeah,
his channel.
Freddie C is doing some great stuff. I mean, obviously they're owned by Citizen Group now, so it's quite a bit different than I think they began in the mall. And unfortunately, in the back of my head, I still think of them that it's not fair. They deserve respect for what they're trying to accomplish in bringing those advanced complications into a lower price band. Whether it's, I think their Tourbillon is under 15
I think that's
grand.
unfair to call them a mall watch when they have their own in-house movements and some pretty cool ones.
At this stage, so I think it's their challenge. Just like Grand Seiko is trying to separate and distinguish themselves from Seiko, they need to focus that effort on distinguishing themselves from their humble beginnings, and that is done through marketing and certainly by their accomplishments that I do need to recognize. Ricardo, any final thoughts, sir?
Nope, you guys have covered it. I think that actually on the Land Dweller, I would have that watch because it's the first time they introduced that movement. And for all time, when you're wearing that watch, it would be about, I got the first time that they implemented that movement. I bet that movement's going to turn up in a lot of other watches, but
I
this is
agree.
the one that says, you know, it's like the oyster quartz. If you're wearing the oyster quartz, it's not about telling the time. It's about saying, hey, look, I got the oyster quartz, the original one.
That's a great thought, and something that we haven't discussed relative to that is Rolex is not often, if ever, mentioned when it comes to movement excellence, or they've only just started putting in display case backs.
You made a point I want to counter a little bit on Ricardo. I understand where he's coming from, but in the same vein, I wouldn't have the first couple years Sky Dwellers because I hated the Arabic and the Roman numerals on that dial. Once again, way too busy. Okay, so I think down the road, Rolex is going to follow suit like they did with the Sky Dweller, get rid of the 6 and 9.
Yeah.
Maybe get rid of the Cyclops, get rid of the honeycomb dial. And once they simplified the Sky Dweller with the batons and put it out in steel, it was a hit. And I can tell you in 2019, 2020, talking to my gal in the Midwest who owns the 4 ADs, I asked her, what are the 5 hardest Rolexes to get? And she said, number 1, Blue Dial Sky Dweller. And followed by the Pepsi, the Hulk,
Daytona.
The Daytona was number 5.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, the Steel Daytona, which surprised. Now that's her ADs,
That's a fairly decent. I remember those stories.
The Sky Dweller still in steel is still a hard watch, and I couldn't get one in steel. Try as I would, even as a retirement watch, and I walked into the AD in Hong Kong, and this had just arrived. My watch an hour prior. Bought it on the spot.
One thing that hasn't been discussed, I do consume a lot of YouTube content, like most, if not everyone watching this. I'm surprised no one is revisiting the subject of how the leaks were exactly correct this year. No one seems to care that for the first time in all of watchdom, as all of us watch nerds, we're waiting up for the clock to tick for the new releases, only to find out that every one of the releases was correct from 4 weeks prior.
I thought it was hilarious.
Why?
The Land Dweller was an April Fool's joke.
Yeah, that was funny. That'd have been so. I mean, Rolex is not that clever.
Yeah.
Any thoughts, gentlemen, on why? I mean, any residual thoughts on how is it possible that someone snuck those out? Did Rolex sneak it out? They clearly orchestrated Federer.
Yeah, they clearly orchestrated it. They don't.
He's no dum-dum. He's not going to just go out to lunch and get shot and add it to his Instagram. He's no dum-dum.
No.
Do you think they orchestrated it?
I do.
No idea. I didn't analyze the forensics enough to know when rumors came out. When I thought it was Federer that tipped his hat first.
Now the bad picture, which is low res of all 5, meaning the turquoise Daytona, Land Dweller, Tiger Iron Dial GMT, the Sprite Gold matte, and the 5th one I can't remember.
1908.
weeks, like 4 weeks.
Well, really, they had a shot of all 5 of those watch out?
Yeah. If you look back, actually, Kurt, go to ID Guys back episodes. He covered it.
Yeah.
He was one of the first persons to cover it.
Wow.
And he actually improved the renders to normalize them because he's good in the Photoshop. And
Yeah.
I'm surprised no one's bothering to visit that subject matter. I find it curious, but I thought you guys might as well. So before we sign off, gentlemen, any final thoughts? Anything you'd like to promote? Anything you'd like to say to the viewership before we close down for the day?
I've noticed that Teddy's going to be having a couple of events, so I'm considering going up there. He's going to have an Oris event in May and a Grand Seiko event in June. So thinking about maybe taking a road trip to see what he's got going on.
Interesting. Oris puts on a good event. I visited them in New York during Wind Up last fall.
Has
Good,
anybody
Kurt?
been to his boutique yet?
I've not, and that's why I want to go.
Yeah. No, that'd be interesting. Not that he would be there, but
Yeah. You see
He'd
one
probably be there
boutique
for
is
the
doing
events.
well. Yeah, got it. All right, fellas. Thank you so much for your time, for coming along on the ride in this wonderful, beautiful hobby of ours. And thank you for coming along. I hope you enjoyed the presentation from my watch buddies, Mr. Big Wrist Energy, Kurt Watch by Design, and Ricardo. Thanks for coming along, gentlemen. We'll catch you in the next one.
thanks, guys.
Peace.
All right.
Ba-boom!